Come on, let's go. Come on. Come on. Hey guys, it's Jim with Cooperative Motor Works and Motorhome Rehab Ranch. And listen, we put out a video this morning. Don't call. I forgot to talk about compression test when you're evaluating your motor. So we're going to do that right now. I know you saw the other one, so let's call this part 2, okay? Come on, El. Come on over here, let's go sit down and we'll talk. So the shop a little quiet today, but they're getting things going. You know, well, you've met Abby, right? Abby Normal there. So, hey baby. All right. So listen, yeah, I did the last video about how to evaluate your motor to see that it's in good shape, or is a good rebuild, or that kind of thing. And one of the things I forgot completely, I was worried about all the small things, the details that people may not know about, that kind of thing, don't look at. I forgot the number one thing, a compression test. You need to know a compression test. Now there's also leak down test and wet and all that stuff, but actually just a basic compression test where you take the hose and the gauge, put the hose on instead of the spark plug, put this in there and read your compression. Take all the plugs out, okay? Put this in number 1. Let it turn over until it doesn't go up anymore. And check your compression. Releases the compression here, of course. But our big block engines are actually low compression engines. Now, you know, everybody says, well, performance is supposed to be high compression. Well, in many cases it is, but when you're talking about torque, actually a big block needs to be low compression. Like if you're going to put a supercharger in it, you want a low compression. Our original compression was 8.4 to 1. All right, that's very, very low. But if you spend a bunch of time and read the manual, manual says you're supposed to put high test gas in that. So everybody thinks that high test gas is supposed to be for high compression. Well, it is. But the reason they're using high test gas in this low compression engine is because they know it's going to go under load. They know that it's going to be susceptible to ping, so they put high test gas in it so it won't ping. So nobody's going to run off with it. You got to tune it right. You can do it without high test gas, but that's the best way they could figure to make that that engine not ping and perform pulling the heavy loads. Okay, so compression on a fresh rebuilt 455 or 403, we're shooting at about 160 to 170 pounds per cylinder. An engine that has above 125 is a fresh motor. I mean, that's strong. It's a great motor. If you have various, as you know, if you have a variance between two, that's a problem. But they all should be about the same. If you're above, say, 110, I'd say it's okay. Things are running, things are good. I would watch it, every year I do a compression test and see what happens. If you're below 110, 100, 105, that's starting to be a loose motor. And the thing is, normally what you say is, well, just drive the car easy until you get a little more mileage on it. Don't do that on this, because everything you do is this engine is driving hard. It's torqued out all the time. So if you do have a low compression, the best motor to build is a no trauma motor, a motor that is not burned up or locked up or had problems and caused something to happen. The best motor is one that is not messed up, okay? Especially of all the things we find that we need to do now to these motors. It's real important. And if your engine won't work out, don't go oversized mains and rods. Don't do that kind of stuff. Get a new crank. Small things. This is why a production engine really has a hard time pulling 12,000 pounds. You need an engine that was really put together well, that all the parts were mic'd, it's the balanced rotating assembly and all that kind of thing. If you just get a standard built motor, it's not built to do this. How do you know that yours is standard or whatever? Well, one indication, sit in the driver's seat, fire it up, let it sit there, get warmed up, and then slowly take your gas pedal up, your speed, RPM up, until, watch your mirror. So if you hit one point that the mirror starts to vibrate and it stops and goes away, that's a vibration in the motor. That the mirror test. If it has a balanced rotating assembly, it's far less susceptible to have that happen. If it's a standard motor, chances are it will have a resonance because it wasn't balanced. If it's not balanced, it's not balanced. Okay? So compression is a really, really important thing on your motor. We've got a motor right now that the oil, like we were talking last time about oil pressure. Oil pressure is high when it's cold, very, very low when it's hot. I mean, it's kind of a loose bearing assembly, and his compression is about 110, 105. So, you know, that engine is a good engine. And here what we're doing is saying, we'll wait until he's going to take it to Switzerland. We really should build it now, but we're not going to do that because motors or transmissions are kind of like fruit. They go bad sitting around, all right? So that particular motor, we're going to wait until he is ready to, the guy lives in Switzerland. We're going to wait until he's ready to take it to Switzerland. And then we're going to build the engine and the transmission. Why? Because that motor is a perfect motor to build. It's an early 75, 455, so that'd be one of the low F numbers. It'd be a great motor to build, and that's what he knows, and that's our plan. So you can do that, like if you're working on other things and the motor's running and all this kind of stuff and it's not making bad noises, drive it around, but don't go on the road with it. You want to save that motor if something happens to it. You'd be really better off having a motor to build that hasn't had that kind of trauma. All right. So a 45-year-old original motor in a GMC would be problematic. Like we were talking about the timing chain, crack on the intake. Now, if the motor had been, all those things had been done and it had been maintained, it had good oil in it, had good compression, the timing chain wasn't loose, you could run it a little while. You know, I mean, that's what a good motor is called. But if you have any one of the things that would indicate wear or age to the motor, really, you should rebuild it. And I'll tell you another one. You go look under the engine, and it's all covered with grease. Okay. Well, you know, you follow it back to where it came from. If it was a hose or something like that, that's fine. But if it just looks like the whole thing is just kind of oozing, that's something, and I can't put my finger on why, but that's one of the things I find that an engine, when it really needs to be rebuilt, the gaskets and the seals are starting to leak and things like that, and you just have, you know, it's just ready to go. What's the half-life of one of these motors? If it was never driven, it'd be about now. If it had been driven, it'd be 2 or 3 times over. So with these GMCs, you're having to deal with time. There's very few, well, there's no other motorhomes, but there's few other vehicles that you would need to put as much trust into as a GMC. So because of the weight and because, well, you know, a bunch of, I'm going to go there. So I really feel it's important to really know the maintenance of your engine, and if it's really, really getting close, look, that's an investment in the future because these things are, somebody's going to always want these things. You know, if the motor goes out, put a motor in it or find somebody that can. Okay, don't let it sit, don't let other things go bad and then all of a sudden, kind of like mine. JG's been sitting out there next to the building all through COVID and all this kind of stuff, and poor old thing won't even start right now. I mean, there it is. I didn't do anything. Went out to start it up, wouldn't start. What's wrong? Well, I noticed once the electric fuel pump doesn't come on. How odd. Electric fuel pump stops working. There it is. So I'm gonna have to spend some love on JG here pretty soon, but I hope to get out on the road pretty soon. A couple weeks ago, I made a big long trip and really felt good. And well, we talked about that. All right. Well, look, compression test, right, Ricky? Compression test. All right. Well, look, thanks for the time. Thank you, Ranch Hands, for helping us out. And let me know when I can help you. You got my number. All right. No excuse. See you next time.